Hey y'all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton here with Brandon. 5 cards, 5 minutes, talking about uncommons and commons from the new Data Live set. Brandon, what's our first card?
First up, we have the 00 Miku. Two different act abilities. First one being pay 1, send this card to Waiting Room. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck and choose a date or spirit character and add it to hand. The other one being pay 1, rest 2 characters if you have 2 or more other characters to mill 3 cards and then draw 1. So effectively, this card can go through 8 cards, getting 2 cards into hand for the cost of 2 stock, resting an additional character and sending this card away to Waiting Room.
Yeah, this feels like a decent emergency mill 8 option. Your selectivity isn't super high and the rate isn't great, but being able to get through that many cards is potentially useful. I think Dal has better mill pieces than this, but this profile in and of itself isn't bad. Next, Shido's strategy Toka. It is a Chiyuri on a Riki cost. On play, pay 1, clock the top card of deck, look at up to 4, choose a level 1 or higher card, and add it to hand. This adds events, which immediately makes it interesting. It mills 4, which is pretty good, and it's on a Riki effect, so it can level you into 1. I think there are enough uses for this card that it could potentially see some niche play.
Yeah, it's a card that can potentially refund itself in hand with the pay 1, clock yourself one, because you're not giving up any cards in hand to get that additional card in hand, so it's effectively saving a card in hand when you do this. Next up, we have the 2-0 My Little Shido event. This is the third iteration of My Little Shido. For this one, choose one of your standing characters and rest it. Then you can choose one of the 3 abilities. First ability being a pay 1, burn 1. The second one being plus 3,000 power, and then you get to stock the event. Or you can salvage a character. So you have to choose one of the 3, but you can choose any of those 3 in the most appropriate situation.
If you're in green, I think this is useful. It does enough different things. It can fix your hand, it can do extra damage, it can add power, and it can add to your stock. It does all of those things depending on what you need for your situation. Any kind of modular effect like this is at least useful. It also plays nice with all the other stuff in Dal that gets events, because it has the same name as the other My Little Shido events. So if you're in green, I think this makes a lot of sense. Next, the 3-2 Kaguya combo on Wind. On play, you can heal. On attack, if you have a full board, it's Mocha 2, so look at 2 from the top of your opponent's deck. You can leave them on top, rearrange them, or send them to Waiting Room, so you're checking for climaxes. And when you swing with this, you get a free Twin Drive. The goal here is to do what Mocha does, which is to clear out the top 2 damage and hope that that 3rd or 4th card is also clean, so that you can stick the damage. But critically, this card has back row support.
Yeah, it pairs with the back row Yuzuru. When brought on stage, if you have 4 or more other characters, you can stock one off the top of your deck. This turns your wind triggers into, instead of bouncing those characters to hand, you bounce your opponent's characters to the top of their deck. So you could potentially stack those on top of their deck as well. So when you pair this with the 3-2 combo, and when you twin drive with it and you trigger wind, you can bounce your opponent's characters to the top of their deck to potentially just try to stick all of that in.
Yeah, so when you combo with the front row Kaguya, if you trigger wind, you're swinging for 4, but you know the top 3 are going to be clean because you're sending a card from your opponent's board to the top of the deck on top of the 2 cards that you already checked. So definitely an opportunity to stick damage. Mochas are only fine, even this kind of a Mocha, because sure, you can get a climax out potentially, or you can check damage, but there's no way to guarantee anything, and there's no additional burn. So if your swing does not stick, you kind of need all 3 to stick to close from 3-0, and there's no guarantees. With this, you can side potentially, but for a Mocha, this is very good, and I like the synergy with the wind trigger. But at the end of the day, it is still just a Mocha top end, and those are only okay.
With that, it does pair with the 2-1 that could potentially spawn them in at level 2. Having this available ready to go at 2, and then kind of trying to keep that alive by removing your opponent's board over and over again, it is only fine, but being able to kind of do it from 2 continually definitely makes it a lot better.
And that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back on Tuesday. Brandon will have a deck tech for this set. We'll have gameplay on Thursday. The following Tuesday, another Clock Talk talking about more Springfest, and then in 2 weeks back with more 5 cards, 5 minutes. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.
We'll see you then.